these, I don't know, this Roman sit-up. Okay, but it's hard to do?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so we got part of that, okay, definitely for sure, okay, but you're using that in a core type thing in a dynamic way, okay, so that's, we just want to make sure that's identified, okay. What do you guys think? Were we able to get lots of stuff there? Got lots of equipment. You got a little weight, you got a piece of TheraBand. What do you think about the weight that would be involved? You're using the weight basically for what?
We were going to use it on the foot for dorsiflexion and for knee extension,
Okay.
but we felt like we got it the most for knee extension. When we didn't have the weight, we didn't feel as much. We also did like a lunge, which didn't like have any resistance, so we weren't sure if that was really good. Yeah. It kind of got on the eccentric contractions and also, but so the dorsiflexion,
quad, and then the hip flexor, and then
we didn't really have resistance, so that's why we tried to use this.
Okay, so the lunge part, I like that, kind of leaning forward with the quads and coming back. You get the eccentric concentric there, and you have to maintain the trunk in a certain position. And again, sometimes these things fit together with pieces. You know, all the pieces come together in like one activity and not so well in others, okay? So, what do you think about something like this, guys? I'm not pointing out any deficiencies, but we got 1.5 pounds. But, yeah, if you're going to do it, okay, guess what you're going to have at the ankle, guys, for the quads. It's going to be a lot more weight. The only thing we want to watch for there is if you're doing... Who's laughing so hard up there? We'll find out. Don't worry. But if you're doing something like that, the one thing you want to watch for too, like, if you were to go ahead and lie back, like you start right here and slide your legs forward, Kate, they're off the table. And now you've got a big old heavy weight out here. What do you think about this potentially for the low back? Peter? Yeah, if you have any issues, say for example with like the short hip flexors, and you put a big weight here, now you're going to be taking muscles that say, okay, work a great big, you know, weight, long lever arm, big weight at the end, and you try to work them in a position like this. You could be putting a lot of stress on the back. So you might want to be a little bit, you know, cautious about that. So you guys were group 7, right? Not to say anything was wrong, but what did group 8, what did you guys come up with?
we're thinking of more of like a squat movement.
Well, show us. I mean, so it's what? The Erector, Spinae, what else? The quads, the... Okay.
So we're just going to have her squat down, standing straight up, ask her to keep her back contracted, so her isometric contraction of the erector spinae, and going down we're going to get concentric contraction of the Iliopsoas, a little bit of contraction of the Tibialis Anterior. Then when she comes up, contraction of the Quadriceps. And to make it harder, I ask her to hold weights in here.
What do you guys think about Claire right here? I said we talk about this from the point of view of Erector Spinae. She maintained an isometric contraction there, right? And the quads, let's see, go ahead and do this for me there. So the quads, when she goes down, they're doing what? Eccentric and concentric way back up. What about the Iliopsoas? What do you think about that? Because when Claire goes down, what's happening there? She's what? Gravity assistive or gravity resistant? Gravity assisted. So that means what? She's going into hip flexion. So you should see what being active then? An eccentric contraction of the antagonistic muscles, right? And is that what? The hip flexors? Is that the hip extensors? Yeah, that's extensors, right? What about at the ankle? Chris?
I was just going to say, like, that's a very functional one. Like, if you want to include hip flexors, after the squat, you can just do like a march type thing, you know, squat.
Everyone hear that? So, I think part of what it is that what Chris is pointing out here is he's going to start doing exactly what you guys did. Okay? He's going to keep it into a situation of, number one, making it kind of feet on the ground, weight bearing. Okay? But then he's going to take it to another level, and he's going to then go, better be unilateral, 1 foot off the ground at a time. It's hard to do too. Although you could jump. Okay? But what happens there is that, so Claire, go ahead and you'll start to squat down, just as you're doing. Okay? She comes back up. Now she's up, and now she has to do what, Chris?
March.
And she gets what in this case? She's going to get the hip flexors, but what else you want to do with the ankle? Yeah, to dorsiflex. Because when she dorsiflexes going down, standing, right? Gravity assisted or resisted?
Assisted.
Gravity assisted, right? So that means what type of contraction occurs in the ankle? Eccentric of gastrocs. I heard someone say it over here. So that's eccentric of the gastrocs. So the only way you can get that concentric is to, just as Chris said, bring it back up, standing, bring the foot off the ground, take it up nice and high. And does this look functional at all? You kind of see it from here to here to here. What might that kind of be similar to? I heard someone say it. Steps or stairs, right? Yeah. So you can work with that, but keeping the back nice and steady to take them through that type of motion, okay? Because I'm going through a hip extended position. I lift my foot up like this. I'm in this position. Now I push down. I extend up with the hip, knee, and ankle. Same thing as Claire did from there. And then what happens? After I do that, then I have to take it and lift it up onto the next step. The whole time I'm doing that, I'm also making sure that I'm keeping my back nice and steady without moving. Make sense? Okay, so you have to kind of look at it in multiple ways to combine these things, okay? Try to make it as functional as possible and see everyday activities in what you're presenting to the patient. You guys were 7, 8, and 9. You guys were 8, right? What about 9? What did you guys come up with? Oh, well, now, of course. Yeah.
We pretty much did the same thing as the first group, except in standing instead of supine. But Arthur came up with something to combine all of them.
Okay.
And it's not, I don't think it's very functional or very good, but I thought it was pretty good.
But we needed something to look at.
So we have a karate theme here. So he's going to start with back extension. Good.
So the back extension, just come up like that as a bow for karate. And then for the kick, you can do a straightforward kick, so then you can work in the hip flexors, then the quads, and then the tib anterior, you can probably just kick at the end for it.
Yes, it's probably better to do hip flexors, dorsiflexors, and then knee extensors.
Okay. And as you're doing all that, what's happening over on your stance limb?
Stabilize. Self-balance. And then
You typically flex the knee a little bit, right? So what are you getting there?
So you get a concentric contraction of quads.
Okay. Maybe a little bit of eccentric isometric, and then we come back up. Yeah. Okay. So you can get stuff there. I mean, even though we kind of laughed and said it's not that functional, but what happens if, Arthur says, "Sensei, I want to be a black belt." Okay. So well, you need to practice your kick, and he does that, and that could be very functional for what he needs to do, depending on the situation. Okay. So again, it has to be patient-client specific. If this is something that he needs to do to perform a certain task, going up steps is one thing, but doing some type of activity like this, it may be necessary as well. Katie?
I was going to say a variation of that. Instead of doing like the whole bow at first, you could just do like a lunge to bring the hip back and then come up and do that. Did you do a kick? Is that what you did? Yeah, so instead of doing that, just going through like a lunge, like a reverse lunging kick to bring the hip flexor all the way through range.
Okay. Now, Mark, you going to say something? I'll let you guys talk as much as possible. Go ahead.
We like that way as well. The only thing we were thinking about was if you are doing hip flexion and also dorsiflexion, you're kind of stretching the hamstring at both ends. So a lot of people have tight hamstrings and they can't get out.
Short hamstring, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's why I said it's probably better to do the dorsiflexion after hip flexion, and then just do knee extension. You know what I mean, and not do knee extension with dorsiflexion. So
Okay.
that was an issue we ran into.
Yeah, I've been shooting short hamstrings. So.
And I don't know if everyone can see what Katie was kind of doing, and part of this kind of gets into some of the stuff with some of the more esoteric pieces of equipment we'll talk a little bit about on Wednesday. But how many people have ever had the opportunity or seen Pilates being used? Okay, so like Katie, if you were just to kind of demonstrate what you were doing a second ago.
Do it again.
Yeah. And you'll probably see some activities that look very similar with use of Pilates. Not exactly the same, but very similar to that. What Pilates do, does anyone kind of know? What do they try to do? What's kind of the concept behind it? Really loud, anyone? Core stabilization is part of it, yep. And what else? Lengthening and strengthening. You're going all the way through range, and you'll be taking something from the very end of range to the very beginning and providing some type of resistance while maintaining form. And some of those types of motions that Katie was doing are very similar to some of the things you'll see being done with, Pilates. And you can Google some of that stuff up on YouTube as well and get some wild stuff when you see the real, pros going at it. And you think, how do they do that? That's a very interesting question. But it's very nice to actually be able to see it done properly. In form, you'll note at that point in time, it really does make a difference. And if you ever want to do something interesting, if you've never done Pilates and want to see how well you can do it, good luck. Because if you don't have the proper range, you don't have the proper technique, you're going to find yourself becoming very sore and very tired very quickly. Not easy. Okay? So that you guys were at 7, 8, and 9, right? So we covered everyone there. Okay, we got a few more minutes left. Let's have 10, 11, and 12.